Hi, and welcome to our podcast. I'm your host, Howard Drukarsh. I've been a successful agent in Canada's largest market, Toronto, for over 30 years. And in the latter part of my career, I co-founded Canada's largest independent brokerage, Right at Home Realty, with a roster of over 5,800 agents and growing. In 2020, I retired to start this podcast, and it's been a remarkable opportunity to meet fascinating and highly successful guests to learn about their careers and get their insight into our business. Today's guest is Jas Takhar. I'll do a little bit of an intro on Jas because we do know each other from another podcast. And how that goes is we met each other on an app called Clubhouse. There's a number of rooms that you can go in and talk, and we both were in the real estate room. And then as we listened and talked, we realized we're both from Toronto, and many of the people there were from the US or anywhere in the world, really. And then we found out we're also about 3 minutes away on Don Mills Road. From that point on, we became friends. He invited me to be a guest on his podcast. And of course, this is episode 2, where he's a guest on our podcast. So, Jas, welcome to our show. Thanks for being here.
I really appreciate taking me down memory lane there, Howard. And thank you so much to you and your team for having me on your podcast as well. I got amazing feedback when you were a guest on mine, and we're going to have to do part 3. I guess if you're calling this part 2, we're going to have to do part 3 and just keep this relationship, friendship, keep it going. I loved that app Clubhouse. I haven't had a lot of time to go back and spend time on the app, but got to meet a lot of people and interesting people. And then you're obviously one of them. So thanks for having me on. And you know what? I need to say this, man, as you read through kind of your own story there for a second. Congratulations. And for people who don't know you, to have an operation of 5,800, and you heard him right. He said that number of 5,800. That is massive, just such a big accomplishment. Congratulations. And also, with starting with the podcast, as a fellow content creator, I know how hard it is to get guests, rebook guests, and then edit and put all that stuff together. And I know you have a team helping you. So just again, congratulations on putting all that together.
Well, you know what? That's what's nice about you and I talking. We understand, not only are we both very experienced in real estate, but we understand the impact of social media. And I know that for you, there's a couple of business focuses you have. One, of course, is your real estate career. Then the other is, which I guess builds your business, is the concept of building your brand. I know you've done, you'll tell me how many episodes.
A little over 189 episodes now on my podcast.
Right.
So yeah, it's been a lot of episodes, but I have a blast just like you.
Right.
I'm not getting paid to do it directly.
Right.
And I don't think you are as well. It's a passion project, right? But I think those are the best, right? Like when it starts off with something that you really enjoy to do for free, it's funny how the money starts to follow afterwards.
Absolutely. And for me, when I retired, I was fortunate because Adam had started this, he built the studio and he was looking for a host. And I was looking for something to do. And I stopped working at Right at Home. And like the next week, I started doing the podcast. There was no real interruption. Someday you'll be forced with thinking about retiring. But why would you retire? You love what you're doing, right? There's no reason.
Yeah, 100%, man. I think I'll be doing some type of version of content creation, maybe some more mentoring. I got a big team. I got a team of 54 agents. I got a lot of agents under the umbrella that I'm at now here in Toronto that, reach out to me. And it's actually one of my favorite parts of the business. I love the client aspect, helping people buy, sell, and invest. But when I get a message on Instagram or Facebook or an email from another agent, because I owe so much to the real estate industry, and I'm preaching to the choir when I say this to you, Howard, but when I hear back from one of those agents and says, and when they say like, oh, I watched a video of yours, and the fact that you're just so raw, Jas, and putting it out there, and we can tell it's not scripted, and you're willing to share your backstory, and you're willing to share the ups and downs, you've inspired me to do my first video. And Jas, I did 14 videos now, and I got a client that reached out to me. That actually fills up my heart even more than the $15,000, $18,000, $20,000 commission, because I've done that over and over. And I don't mean that to impress anyone, just to really impress upon people. Like I've been doing the real estate sales stuff for very long, 17 years to be exact. but like the passion is really inspiring other people now.
And, along with being fellow realtors, we also are fellow followers of Gary Vaynerchuk. And what you're saying is really what he says. Give people. Don't do it because if I give you some help, you're going to help me in some way. Just do it because that's a part of how you work with your people. And I think I've learned a lot from how to do. I learned a lot about real estate, and I learned a lot about how to run a company during my time at Right at Home. But since that, I've learned from Gary Vaynerchuk a lot about building a brand in a different way, because that was a company, building a brand in a company. And as you know, and what I've been doing is building a brand. Here it's around real estate with Howard Drukarsh. That's the brand. But ultimately, what you said is it's just so much fun to do this. And when you tell people about it, if they've never done it, of course, it depends on your guests and it depends on your topics. We've never had a guest at the end that didn't say, I really enjoyed it and thank you. And what could be a better way to end it, right?
I mean, to your point about Gary, I mean, definitely, if he didn't start coming out with the content that he did at Mass, I mean, I don't know if there would be this version of Jas Takhar right now. So I owe a lot to that gentleman as well. I was blessed to have him on a podcast, but then even more blessed to have spent a full day with his whole content creation team. That's what really got my content machine on steroids when he was like, guys, just stay here at my office for the day and just poke around, ask questions. With what you said about like the podcast, that having people on, I think podcasting on a video format, audio format is one of the best ways to get started with content creation, because you have this macro piece, a 30-minute conversation that you and I are going to have and that you have with your guests, and then you can start to chop it up. But with that said, I also, I hope I can speak to someone who's listening right now and they're just like, you know what? I look at Howard and he it comes so easy to him. He's able to just flow with the guest. And for Jas, like you can just tell, he waves his hands and he comes with all this energy. I'm not that much of an extrovert. And so I'm here to tell you, you need to find a way to produce content. I do believe that video and audio are by far the best ways to do it, but that doesn't mean you need to start there. I mean, there's other ways to produce content, and maybe you're a fantastic writer and you just don't know how many platforms there are or what specific platforms there are that you can speak to people in written form, i.e. medium.com. It gets, I think, a little over 150 million users a month. It's kind of the YouTube for blog writers. You can write long blogs and just put them into your emails and send that out to your client database. Maybe you have a passion for photography. This is a great opportunity to if you're a real estate agent and you have a passion for photography, I mean, mix the two. Go drive around, go take pictures of homes and condos, the exteriors, the interiors, the parks and the community, and start to put that out as your content. I mean, there's a guy, I always forget his name. I'm going to have to look it up. But anyways, I mean, people will know his Instagram profile. I think he's at like 50 million followers or something like that. Ridiculous. Humans of New York. And all he does, right, Howard, is he goes around and takes pictures of people in New York. And out of that came a book, right, I think a YouTube channel now. He then went into podcasting after. So there's so many ways that you can produce content that doesn't need to be video. But I do think that if you can get over that friction, for a lack of a better word, and the friction inside your head that is worried about people judging you, and you can actually start with video, there's some real magic that happens with repurposing and connecting. Video is by far the best way to connect with people, but I still want to make sure that if there's someone who's just so scared, you can get started with other types of content.
And this is like, it's so familiar to me because it's right out of the Gary V playbook. You have to do something, but you don't have to do this. Why this works, and you have a studio, we have a studio, is because it comes across professional. I think that's something else. He says it doesn't have to. I'm not sure. I think he should just get content out. But I think the more professional you do it, the better people will react to it, right?
And I think,
That's
and to your point, I mean, I think you're also going to attract better guests
a good
over
point.
time,
Right,
right? I
right.
mean, for my people, they know that, you know, I do have a studio. It's in complete renovation mode right now, so
Mm.
I'm working from hallways, staircases. If I can sneak into a boardroom like I just did today for this, where I'm working from my car, wherever I have to for the next couple of weeks while all the major renovations happen. But I do agree with you. You should be like, I see your mic right now. I mean, it's a professional grade mic. You have the team, you have the headphones, you have a studio. The quality is going to be a lot better. I mean, in his defense, for lack of a better word, not that he needs me to defend him. Like, I think what people and what he's trying to get across, and I see it because I help a lot of real estate agents and mortgage brokers create content, is that they feel like they need to get all that equipment
Mm.
before they get started.
So
And
what?
I
Okay,
think it,
wait. I was in your office. All right, let's do it. What's your motto? What's the motto on your wall?
well, there's a couple of them. The one that you're speaking
Yeah,
about is ready, fire, aim,
right, right.
right?
That's the one that people don't think of. Ready, fire, aim.
And
Be,
and like, I mean, I'm at 188 or something episodes, as I mentioned to you. My first 12, 15, or 17 episodes was me really just doing it with a headset into my phone and just using Anchor to distribute it to all the podcast platforms. Now, to what I said earlier, the second I got the mics and the cameras and all that, I started to attract bigger guests because they knew I was taking it a little bit more seriously. But I always think about the tennis player, right? Like the guy or the gal that needs to get the best tennis racket, the best tennis shoes, the best tennis shorts, the wristband, the headband, and then they go play once and then give up, right? You're almost better off maybe just playing with a wooden racket against a wall by yourself to build up the consistency and then come out and get all that extra equipment. But I definitely agree with you. I mean, once you start to build up the equipment, you will attract better guests.
and it's interesting because in the early days, my first episode was me talking about me, and we didn't do video because I thought I don't want to just talk to a camera for half an hour. Then there were a couple agents that I knew, and I was really stiff. And Adam said, "You'll get into it the more you do it." And so after each one, same route that you had, I know, you get a little more comfortable, and then after a while, you look forward to it because it's just simply fun. Now, to your point about professionalism, I think it's professionalism plus we both come out of real estate. So prospecting is not something we don't understand. On our podcast, I was able to get some real estate celebrities simply because I asked them to be guests. I've had Maya Vander from Selling Sunset, Mary Fitzgerald from Selling Sunset, Sean McPeak from Sirhant, Kirsten Jordan from Million Dollar Listing New York. And I don't think it would have worked if I went after them if I was shooting it on my iPhone. And your point, this is so important to people who want to make this into a more important career, is you're competing with all the other podcasts. You're competing with everything else that's online. So you have to do it as professional once you get there as you can, because then you'll get better guests. And I'm amazed. I'll tell you, I call Adam when I got another guest, and I say, Adam, we're doing something right. Because I'm amazed at the people we get. And I know you're on the same, in fact, you're down the road farther than me because you've been doing it longer. But to anybody interested in content, it has to be what feels easy to do. Like if it's hard to do, don't do a video, write something, take a picture. But content is king. And it has to be consistent. That's another, you didn't mention it, but I'll mention it. It has to be
Oh,
like every day. You can't do it. Okay, I did it last week. Nothing happened, right?
yeah, no, I mean, look, even if you can just get to a place where you do one thing every single day, like you're speaking to somebody that does about 12 to 15 pieces of content on all the platforms a day, because I'm obsessed because of the results that I got.
Mhm.
Right. And it took some time. It took some time to just get comfortable to put myself out there. Like you, I started with an audio podcast. So I wasn't into shooting TikTok Instagram reels, or YouTube shorts. I wasn't into shooting videos. Now I need 7 cameras around because I know I could cut the content a lot more, and all I got to do is one recording. But at the start, I was very fearful. What I started to realize is, oh, okay, the more that I put out there, the more shots I get at people seeing it. And the more people that see it consistently, the more chances I'm going to have for something to resonate with them, right? Sometimes we as humans need to hear something 15 to 18 to 37 times before we actually pick up the phone or email or reach out to someone. So what I started to do after about a year into content creation, once I started getting messages back like, hey, Jas, can we meet with you to invest into a property? Can we meet with you to buy our first home, or whatever it was from a real estate buyer, seller, or an investor perspective? Once I knew that I was resonating with people, that's when I kind of took it to on steroids and said, this is all I'm going to do. So like every single dollar of mine from a marketing and lead generation perspective is spent on content creation, because I know it's the highest level of awareness. It allows people to get a taste of me. They make the decision in their pajamas at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, watching a YouTube video or on any other platform. They make the decision of, okay, we kind of like the good looking Indian guy that waves his hands. We want to get to know him a little bit more. Let's reach out. Or on the flip side, it's, I don't really like this guy. I don't like the fact that he sells real estate in a sweater or a t-shirt. There's something about him that rubs me the wrong way. And that's okay. Like, I want to get to all 6.6 million people in the city of Toronto, but I'm just not going to get around to them all, right? And so for me, if I get my 200-300 people that connect with me every year and do a deal with me, I'm more than happy. But look, as a salesperson, most people know that we spend a lot of time to try to build the authority and build that rapport in the first 30 minutes, 20 minutes of a conversation, the first time you meet someone. What video allows, what content creation allows, is that for all that to be built on the prospect's own time. So when they do walk into your office or when they do reach out to you, you have a little bit more leverage now, right? Because they already saw something of yours. And so that's why I'm always harping, and some would say obnoxiously, telling real estate agents, mortgage brokers, really anybody who would listen that needs the awareness of a client, you gotta put out educational content. And you know, we've thrown around the word, Howard, of content a lot. Like, that doesn't mean in my opinion anyways, that doesn't mean the call me now, look at me with all the awards, my just listed and my just sold stuff. And that stuff works. I just don't think it works as well as it used to. Not to say it doesn't work. The content that I'm speaking about is educational content where you're teaching people about the process, about what they need to know, what they need to stay away from. So then that becomes shareable, because when someone feels like they've been educated, they're more apt to send that to their friend, family member, or colleague. And that's kind of the metric that I'm looking for, right? Like, look, I mean, in the world of the Instagrams and all the Facebooks and TikToks, the likes and the followers, yeah, that tells you if you're somewhat on the right path. I would implore everyone to go on their platforms and check what content is actually shared. And that's very easy to see and just Google it or YouTube it, and you'll find out what is shared and what is saved. Because then those two metrics are the ones that tell you if the content that you're putting out there is actually valuable.
Yeah, and it is now so scientific. You know, the algorithms are the magicians. Like, you know, we'll never know. They change it on the go. So you have to keep working on developing things. And I know how busy you are, and I'm always respectful of people's time. So let me go to something that I always found interesting. Tell us about From the Ground Up, because I know this is something that you've developed with your colleagues there. So let's hear about From the Ground Up.
Yeah, so you know, being in the real estate business now for coming up to 17 years, started to have a team of 54 agents, and obviously I went kind of all in. As you can tell, my passion is content creation. I went all in for my own personal brand and for my lead generation for my real estate business to be content. What started to happen is is I'm in under an umbrella of about 1,300 agents in the office that I'm at. And the agents started asking me, like, how do you do it? Like, how do you get so much content out? What the heck is a podcast back then, 3 years ago? I mean, the world of podcasting has definitely boomed, for a lack of a better word. And so what I started doing is giving people a guide that I put together. It was like a 39, 42-page guide. I still have it. It's absolutely free. I teach people exactly what I did and still do till this day, who I hired as my personal media squad. And I hired them full time. They're here 9 to 5. None of my stuff is outsourced. As I gave that to people, Howard, real estate agents and mortgage brokers, I would check in with them a couple of months later and say, how's it going? Like, I haven't really seen much content. I started following you, haven't seen anything. They're like, Jas, we love everything that you say. We love that you gave us the guide. We don't have time to do this. Can we borrow your own people? Like, can we borrow the guys and gals that you had? And the first 4 or 5 times, I was like, I can't. Like, they're full time and they're jam packed. There's nothing there. Like, they don't have any extra time that they wanna put into this. But then it started to get to a point where I was being asked 20, 30 times in a month for 3, 4 months straight. Having that entrepreneurial kind of spirit, I was like, I keep on getting slapped in the face with the same question. There obviously is some type of need here. Let me touch base with my VP, who has a background and an MBA in branding and marketing, helped me kind of build my personal brand. I said, Laura, I mean, this is getting this question a lot. She's hearing it as well. I said, do you want to try to see if there's a business here? And I went back to the people that were asking me. Obviously, some people didn't want to actually pay and they weren't really ready for it. And so we started a company where we help produce, edit, post, brainstorm for specifically real estate agents and mortgage brokers, their content creation, which could mean maybe shooting an educational webinar once a month specifically to their database, setting up a podcast, getting that up and running, taking clips from the webinar or the podcast, or just shooting 3, 6, 7, 9 videos a month. They come into our office. We have 13, 15 locations scouted out, and we shoot quick videos. We give them the topics. Sometimes we actually provide the guests for webinars and podcasts. So it's really to get people started on the journey of content creation, and then allowing people, like, I've had clients with me now for 9 months and they're ready to do it on their own and hire their own people. And that's kind of exactly what I wanted to see, because I really think to do what I did and got the results that I got, you have to have somebody full time on staff, like, to really take it seriously. In the meantime, while you're transitioning from not doing any content to getting all the full time staff, that's what we're here for.
Okay. So listen, I'm so aware because all my guests are so successful and so busy. We work really hard at wrapping it up where I want to be truthful. So let me, and people are going to watch this and go, wow, this guy looks like he knows what he's doing. How do people reach you, Jas?
Look, I'm not that hard to find, Howard. I'm on all
I'm
the
pretty
platforms.
sure.
The Instagrams, the YouTubes are very, very easy to find.
Okay.
Search the name Jas Takhar, but really the easiest, I guess the best way to kind of get into my world and find out how you want to consume me, video, audio, the written word or images. Just go to jastakhar.ca. I have a bi-weekly newsletter. I have a vault with all my internal resources, i.e. that guide that I was talking about. People can download it. I have nothing to sell anyone unless they're thinking about investing into real estate, or if somebody wants to do some content. And even all the coaching and the brainstorming around it, I don't charge anybody for any of that stuff. When you use my media company, you're paying to get videos edited. And you can find out about all that at jastakhar.ca.
Okay. All right. Well, listen, thank you for being our guest. If people have questions, they can contact you, obviously. I think this has been great to have you as a guest. It was fun to be your guest. And now you've been my guest. So we've balanced the books, so to speak. And I know we will keep in touch. So,
Well, once my studio gets all done up and everything's ready, Howard, you're coming back for part 3, okay?
Fair enough. All right. Stay well, my buddy, and really nice to see you again. Take care.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, all the best. We'd like to thank Jas Takhar and you for joining us today. And if you enjoyed our podcast, please like, comment, and subscribe on your favorite podcast network or on our YouTube channel. And to reach us, you can reach us by email at info@rewithhd.com or on our website, rewithhd.com. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.